The college football season is fast approaching as we're about 2 months away from the regular season, and I figured it's time to make a top 12 here on the channel. I know 12 is probably pretty weird, but 12 teams make the college football playoffs, so I figured let's do a top 12, not a top 10. So if you guys want to see more college football content here on the channel, just let me know in the comments down below. But without further ado, we will get started with number 12, the Miami Hurricanes. Miami's coming off of a really good season with quarterback Cam Ward, but he's off to the NFL now, and in comes transfer quarterback Carson Beck from Georgia. Carson Beck had a pretty rough season last year with the Bulldogs, but I think overall he's going to be able to fill in very nicely in that Mario Cristobal offense in Miami. It's a pretty weak ACC overall, and I think Miami is a team that could definitely make a run. And as long as they don't struggle to end off the season like they did last year, they should go to the college football playoff for the first time. Coming in at number 11, I got the Alabama Crimson Tide, a team that a lot of fans of Alabama are pretty furious with the way that last season ended with the bowl game loss to Michigan. And this is a team that had high expectations, especially when you go and beat a team like Georgia in dramatic fashion. And then the very next week, you get upset by Vanderbilt. They are moving on from quarterback Jalen Milroe, which I think a lot of fans are excited about. Kalen DeBoer entering his second season there has a lot of pressure on him to put together a championship competing season. The biggest question is, who's going to be the quarterback for the Crimson Tide? Will it be Ty Simpson, who has been there in that system, knows the team, or will it potentially be true freshman Keelan Russell, who was the number 2 quarterback in last year's recruiting class? Alabama has high expectations. The people in Tuscaloosa are not going to tolerate mediocrity. In the 10th spot, we have my Michigan Wolverines. I could go on for 10 plus minutes about Michigan's season, and I do want to do that in a separate video. But for now, I want to cover them just briefly. I think they had a rough season, so a lot of you would probably think top 10 is probably way too high. But I think the way that they ended the season against Ohio State, and especially the game against Alabama, where Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant weren't even playing, I think that defense, that's what's going to be put out on the field entering this season. I think they'll have a top 5 defense, and I think that Bryce Underwood can produce probably 10 times better than we saw last year out of Davis Warren and Alex Orji. So I think the offense will be much improved, but they will face challenges throughout the season as they have to play Oklahoma early. They have a road game against Nebraska, and of course the game against Ohio State. I could see Michigan potentially dropping a couple of games, but I think that they can make their way back to the college football playoff. Just above the Michigan Wolverines, I got the LSU Tigers, a team that I felt was pretty similar to Michigan last season. Obviously, their offense was a lot better than Michigan's, but kind of on how their season went, I think that LSU is another team that coming in this season has high expectations, a team that can certainly make a run for the college football playoff national championship game, especially with a quarterback like Garrett Nussmeier. I think he's extremely talented. I think LSU will put together a really solid season overall. Brian Kelly has a lot of pressure on him as well. That's the theme of this top 12. A lot of these coaches have a lot of pressure put on them by the fan base, by the university, and other people. I think Brian Kelly needs to get the job done with LSU, and I think he's got the quarterback in the team to be able to do it. Now, this team right here, I'm not so sure. I really do not know how to feel about them, and really I'm putting them in the number 8 spot because of how dominant they've been over the last couple of seasons. But Georgia, a team led by Kirby Smart, probably the best coach in college football, has a lot of question marks for me. Carson Beck is off to Miami, and now it's Gunnar Stockton's show, and I think he's been pretty unproven so far in his young career. If he can play anything like they got out of Stetson Bennett or Carson Beck, I think Georgia's back to the college football playoff yet again, but it's not going to be an easy mountain to climb for Georgia. It's going to be interesting to see how this season goes. We'll keep an eye on them, but I think Georgia, especially with Kirby Smart at the helm, they should be back to the college football playoff. If not, it's going to be kind of a surprise. Coming in at number 7, we have the runner-ups from last season, and that's Notre Dame. And I think that they're going to have a pretty solid season overall. The question is, who is going to take over that quarterback spot? It looks like it's more than likely going to be CJ Carr, and he's young. He's going to be a redshirt freshman, so Notre Dame is going to be relying on a young, inexperienced quarterback. But thankfully for them, I think that they have the coaching staff and the supporting cast, pretty much led by Jeremiah Love at running back, to make another run at a college football playoff appearance. The only thing about it is if Notre Dame loses 2 games, they're probably not getting in. So they have to be nearly perfect and they definitely can't lose a game like they did last season against Northern Illinois. Coming in number 6, I have the Oregon Ducks, a team that lost a lot of talent from last year's squad, and they were nearly perfect on the season as they ended with a blowout loss in the Rose Bowl, and I think they're going to have a lot of revenge on their mind heading into this season. The only question is, how are they going to be able to replace the quarterback play that they've gotten the last couple of seasons? Since Dan Lanning has been there, he's had nothing but experience at quarterback with Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel. It's going to be a new guy this year. It's more than likely going to be Dante Moore, the transfer from UCLA. He's a former 5-star, so he's got high expectations, but overall, he is inexperienced. I think if they get good quarterback play, Oregon should make another push at a Big Ten championship and potentially back to the college football playoff. We all have that one team that we're too high on. Maybe we're too high on that team, and that's Arizona State for me. I have a good feeling that they're going to go back to the college football playoff, and a really good feeling that they could potentially go 12-0. Were they just one-hit wonders from last season? Yeah, it's possible, but I don't think so. You obviously got to replace Cam Scatteraboo, who's off to the NFL, but this is a team that brings back a really solid quarterback in Sam Leavitt, who had an excellent freshman season, and it's going to be easy to throw to a guy like Jordan Tyson, who in my opinion is probably the best receiver heading into this young season, other than Jeremiah Smith. When I look at Arizona State's schedule, I don't really see a single game on that schedule that they can't win. I think that they could easily go 12-0. If they get the same quarterback play plus some out of Sam Leavitt, this is going to be a dangerous team out there in Arizona. Coming at number 4, I have a team that I'm not actually super high on, even though I have them ranked at 4. That makes no sense what I just said, but it's the Texas Longhorns. I think that on paper, it looks like they lost a lot of talent, which they did. They had 12 players get drafted in last year's draft, and 2 offensive tackles, their quarterback, their top receiver in Matthew Golden, and a lot of their star defensive players as well. But the big thing is, the golden child Arch Manning is being given the keys to the Ferrari in Texas. Steve Sarkisian over the last couple of seasons has shown that he is one of the best coaches in college football, and he can put his team in a position to compete for a college football playoff national championship. The question is now, can he just put all the pieces to the puzzle together? At number 3, we have the team that brings back the most production from last season, and that's the Clemson Tigers. Dabo Swinney's now using the transfer portal. He really didn't have anybody transfer out. This is going to be a team that has very, very high expectations. Although Dabo Swinney's going to say, we have the same team that we had last year, there's no reason to be excited. But I would have to disagree. Cade Klubnik is, right now, in my opinion, the Heisman favorite. He could potentially be the first quarterback taken in next year's draft. Clemson's going to be really, really solid, and they play in a weak ACC. Miami's the only other team that we've talked about from the ACC, and I don't even think that they're going to be that great of a team. Clemson could easily go 12-0. There's a good chance that by the time the season ends, they have a first-round bye and are awaiting an opponent in the college football playoff at 12-0. And coming at number 2, I have a team that a lot of people probably have in their number 1 spot, and that's Penn State. They remind me a lot of last year's Ohio State team, and then they remind me of the Michigan team in 2023. And the reason that is because they bring back a lot of talent. They bring back a lot of guys who want to go out there and compete for a national championship, and they have experience at the quarterback position. The question really is for Penn State, can James Franklin just get over this mental hurdle that is Ohio State? If they can beat Ohio State, I think that James Franklin can get Penn State a Big Ten championship game victory and take them to the college football playoff. Drew Aller is going to be the number 1 player in college football entering the season for me. He's the biggest impact player. And then Penn State also has a dominant running back duo in Katron Allen and Nick Singleton. I think that you got to replace guys like Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter, but overall you're bringing back the most important piece, and that is your quarterback Drew Aller. And finally, I have to talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes. I don't want to talk about these guys, but I have to give them my flowers. I'm a big-time Michigan fan. I dislike Ohio State with all of my heart, but I can't be a hypocrite. I've said it time and time again, if you win the national championship, I don't care if you don't bring back that much production. You have to be the number 1 team until until it's proven otherwise. I think they have to move on from guys like Will Howard, Jack Sawyer, and their running back duo that they had last season, but they do bring back Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith. Ryan Day finally got over the hurdle of winning the big one. but it's not the Michigan one. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Ohio State's season goes. Tavian St. Clair and Julian Sayin will battle it out for that number 1 quarterback spot. They have a tough season. They do have to play Penn State. Fortunately for them, it's at home. They do not play Oregon. They do have to go to the big house to play Michigan, however. So we'll see how that one goes as Michigan looks for number 5 in a row. I'll leave you with this. I think in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. And what I mean by that is Ohio State needs to beat Michigan in order to be the true number 1 team in college football. That is going to end off this episode, or video, I should say. We're not doing episodes over here. But if you guys would like to see more college football content, just let me know. I would like to bring more Michigan stuff to the channel here, as that is my number 1 team. And I'd like to talk about them and the expectations for their season. Give you some week-to-week previews, some recaps after the games are over. Just let me know if you guys enjoyed this. If you didn't, let me know in the comments. And I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.